Our film starts with or no. She wakes up from her sleep from a recurring nightmare that happens to her every day. And at the same moment, in another place, we see Ban. And she's supported by someone. She seems worn out in spirit and her whole body is injured and she can't even stand on her feet. And the thing is that this is Oran too. Not crazy or anything. On the contrary, the whole world's tenderness is in her heart. The whole story we are unaware of. A phone call turned her life upside down. And to know the whole story from first, don't forget that this is Muhammad Taha, I am. And this is the Instagram and link. And in the description. They follow me and let's quickly get the events from very first. The story begins with 3 girls. Their personalities are very different from each other, and one thing brings them together. Just one thing. They were all deceived by the telephone call route, and each one of them is robbed by the one behind it and the one in front of it. And this is what made them decide to form a secret team too. They deliver the foundation of the game, because the dialogue turned out much bigger than it being just a call from a person trying their luck. This is a full agency with people being employed, with them under threat, and before we get into the details, let's see how the scam happens from the very beginning. At that time, we find a Horn. She is standing in the kitchen preparing lunch for her daughter and her husband. Suddenly, she gets a call from a strange number. They told her, "You have an employee from Thailand Post, isn't it you? Your ID number is like this and your address is like this in illegal expulsion in the name of the 18th office bank account." And before you even understand what is happening exactly, the call transfers it to someone else on the basis that he is an officer from the police station. He confirms the information to her, and that there is a package coming with your name on it. Egyptians, and then a third person comes in, and this one became the colonel and informs her that the call will be recorded because it will be taken as evidence in the case. So now, I am accused of a money laundering case, and I have to transfer the amount to the anti-money laundering office to verify its source, and it will be transferred. Tomorrow is another day, either about the accounts in your name and your husband's, and tracking them for taxes, because her husband is a friend. Company F gets very stressed and is not able to distinguish between truth and lies, and in the end, it enters all the account data on the link. The one I sent it to, and in less than a second all the accounts are completely zeroed out and her number is blocked, and of course she has no choice but to. She is going to file a report with her husband, but the officer just tells them to thank God that they are safe, but yesterday a woman was scammed in. And unfortunately, until now we haven't been able to reach any useful information, and at that time, Ann was very upset and felt deceived and asked her husband to don't bring up the topic of bullying because I don't want her to think that they are naive, so her husband is trying to make it easier for her. And that it's finally okay. The important thing is that they didn't reach it for the other account because of all the money he owes the school, please, and in a month it becomes Oran. She still can't get over what happened, to the point that she closes all the curtains in the house out of fear that someone might be watching her and wants to scam her. Not to mention that she wakes up from nightmares. So she decides to go. Groups are raised so that she can speak among people and bring out the fear inside her. And by chance, she finds someone there named Dr. Physical Therapy and gets scammed. To her in exactly the same way. And from the same person. But this one drains her. And so much. She wasn't embarrassed by what happened, she couldn't even. She goes to report to the police, and at that moment, Oran feels that she is going through the same thing she is experiencing and talks in order to understand more, so she tells her that it has been for years. I worked and paid off the debts I owed, and I repaired my family's house. It was my dream to buy a house for myself instead of the rent I was throwing away on. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to, because all the money was taken in an instant. And of course, he will run with them because they threatened him with her weak spot. And if the news reaches the hospital, it will be taken away from her. Her professional license, slowly, fear controlled her. It made her agree to anything without thinking. And at the end of the day, she finds her husband objecting too. Eating because it's spicy, so you know, even if you're in a session. Talking about me, that's why I was kind of stuck on the food, so the topic is completely directed and you don't feel reassured, even on it. And the next time he asks for food from outside is better for us. And then she goes to practice with her daughter, and suddenly she gets a message from Fan. I sent her a video of a woman named, and she says that her position involves her grandmother in. And because she is an old woman and doesn't understand scamming methods, he tricked her very easily. He is very encouraging. And where does he take her? He takes her to her grandmother's restaurant so they can listen to details more, and we then find out that she lives with her grandmother, alone and selling products online, and it seems that she is very hasty and says anything, at any time, and she makes them understand that it's okay. I mean, my grandmother, an old lady, just as she is. But how can you scam them this easily? And when you check, you'll see the messages on grandma's mobile. The same number is still contacting her and sending her messages. She kind of realizes that they are like this. They feel the lack. This is easy and they want to follow up with her to take advantage of her. Step by step. So what do you think if we take advantage of the situation and lure them until we reach their place? Farwell takes them to a friend of his named RG so that he tracks the number and answers its location, but unfortunately he reports it. The issue is very difficult because they are secured. Those numbers and are linked to places that are not real. The location, and by chance he notices the signal. It moves on the map normally. So almost like this, it works fine. And at that time, we go back in a flashback 2 weeks ago to an area. Abu is sending borders with a girl named Yui, and she is hiding in the bathroom and sending a message to a number. It's strange that there are 2 weeks left and the contract will end. I look for another job and quickly delete the message. And I go out. And at that time we realize that this is the agency that they make scam calls, and they have a full team divided into groups to hit the chest of whoever is with them, from one to another until they take everything. Those who have it. And of course, because of the confidentiality of the job, they prevent them from going back to their homes in the first place, and whoever does something wrong gets beaten and is deprived of food. And of course the word counts, and the movement counts. That's different from the officers who have a private office, and wear the military suit because he plays the role of the colonel and and then he tells you to call a number. So you find a lady. Big, so you throw the bait to her and turn the person. The next one, and this asks her to open the camera is to make sure they are police. And unfortunately, it turns out to be Jeddah W, but the strange thing is that Mayo, when she sees her face, gets very nervous, as if she knows it, and they can't take money from her. She gets upset. After that, he goes to the gang leader and reports that my contract will end at the end of the month, sir. I want to stop working because I miss my son and I need to spend a lot of time with him. And even though the boss and whoever are holding on to him because he is old in the job. But as long as he doesn't want to, then fine, he gathers his stuff and leaves, and at that time we find Officer Mark attacking with the forces on an empty house in Hope. He delivers any information, and he really finds the place. It's all wires connected to devices, going inside pipes in the ground, so he makes sure that these wires, it is connected to another building on the other side. But its owner thinks it is the deputy's house, so if anyone finds out we entered, it will be a problem. Big, and of course there is no conclusive evidence because it's not better. So Mark gets very upset because he is sure of his feeling. As for Ward, when he returns home, he is very happy. Finally, he saw his son. And he brings him a toy specifically to make up for the past period. On the other hand, Yo-Yo. You watch his video on the internet and get very upset and feel even more guilty and send him a message. The money will definitely come back, but we still need time for review. And we know now that a few years ago she was carrying her newborn daughter in her arms. And when the grandmother saw her in this state, she made her sit with her. The restaurant, she spent its food and money to spend from them, because of how difficult it is for her, and he, That's what makes her. She feels guilty on her side. And afterwards we find him opening his own company in the field of fraud and scams, and he takes Yui with him to train the new team in front of me, so that's what. He will be responsible for watching him at night because he rented them a room next to the office so they can all stay in it together, and of course, he plays exactly the same role, and he will keep the call until the end. And then he might notice that she keeps taking out her phone every little while and looking at it, so he takes it from her to make sure what it is. Exactly what is happening. It's better to hand it over to the old leader or something. So you try to cancel the matter because she can't tell him her conscience. I warned her and lied to her that this is a client who took her number so that we can start with her in the new office. Hopefully, she will bring the rest of the data that we will work on. As for Orn stayed, and the rest took the location they had with them and went to the police to report it, but they didn't get any benefit because the officer told them. Where did you get this data from? You don't know that cyber hacking is a crime. She gets very angry, because she was sure from the start that this is the final result, and the police that day will just spend a year and it won't get them anywhere, and we know that. We need to rely on ourselves to get our money back. And at the end of the day, Oran is attending her daughter's piano competition, and in the middle of her playing, they find her. She suddenly got nervous, stopped, and remained seated. At her place and time, the place manager is talking with her father that his daughter is going through a psychological crisis, and that's why they need to give extra attention during this period so that her condition returns to normal again. As for Fan, he suggests to them that the most appropriate thing to do is to lure the person who is talking to the grandfather so that we can meet him. And then we follow him until we discover their headquarters, so he gets very excited about the idea and asks for tracking devices and sends them a message that, "I found my gold box, you might need it." During the investigation, at that time he pays attention to a message in which he gets very excited and says let's go. On the other hand, Khan asks for accessories in the picture. They put them in a gold box and hide a tracking device inside it, so that when they take it, they can discover. They easily figure out the place, and they agree with her that they will meet at the hospital, leaving the old woman sitting alone, with the bag beside her, while they watch the situation from afar. But the strange thing is that when she arrives while covering her face and sits next to the grandfather to steal the bag, she refuses to take it. On the contrary, she puts money and paper inside it and moves it quickly before the assistant of card notices what she did. And at that time, they try to behave quickly so they can put a GPS tracker in her bag, and she acts like she accidentally bumped into it. And in the middle of the commotion, he grabs her phone and puts the tracker inside it. He denies it and goes back to her bag again. And as soon as they arrive at the building they are in, they find rooms available for rent for small companies. And when they get close to the door, they hear someone calling out. And Yuya is upset because she came back without the gold. So, she tries to laugh at anything, and the police who were. She keeps in touch with me, so they can set up an ambush for us. So she has to move quickly before Shawnee stops her from believing it, and he returns the phone to her again. As for Waran F, she gets very nervous because of what she saw and she takes a breath. And she comes down quickly before they see her, and suddenly, a feeling of enough fear so far dominates her because no one but me will get my right back. And she gathers her courage, and goes up to rent a room on the floor above so they can watch him, until they are able to reach a point. He weakened it, but if you get to know her, no one of us has money with her. What you are doing, so she decides to pay the rent by herself because this is the way. The only one who will make her regain her confidence in herself. And the first thing they do is spy on him through the tracking device that is present in my mobile, and in a short time it delivers a lot of information. Just as they promised them, and who didn't show up tonight. And where they get the data from, and all that talk at that time. One of the employees suggests to Odd N.A. your opinion on sending links and importance in messages because this will be much easier than the isolation we do it. So he takes the matter personally, which is You are trying to make your work easier for yourself, and he gives her a lesson in ethics, and that he works conscientiously to prove to them that nothing comes easy, because they grew up in very difficult circumstances, and they didn't find someone to provide for them, and that's why they steal money. She is one of those rich people who have such a big heart. So she gets very angry from his words to the point that she throws the headset on the ground and wants to go to him because ignore her work, and she goes back to her grandmother, but the matter has never been simple. He is speaking to her about this, so they try to calm her down because it's not a time for recklessness. Finally, at the end of the day, Khan informs them that there is a problem, because until now we still haven't reached the accounts to which the money is transferred. So he suggested to them that he could hack their devices, and he would definitely be able to access the account numbers very easily. But there is another problem, because basically, how do they hack them? And as usual, he gets excited and tells them we can enter their office at night and finish this night easily, but Oran, she completely objects because each one of them has her own life, so they can't act recklessly for any reason, and at that time he receives a call because the client refuses to turn on the camera or even respond to them. So he prefers to talk to him confidently, and what is required is that you must turn on the camera so we can verify your identity is recorded, and we record the call as evidence, and as soon as the camera opens, he finds 3 people sitting in front of him and laughing, while they are the ones filming a video. Because they get exposed on the internet, they get very angry and hang up the call quickly, and then they go crazy at the whole team to reveal the embarrassment they're in on them, and he takes their phones, which makes her very upset, and she tries to persuade me to return her phone so she can check on her daughter. But he refuses and makes her understand that there are no mobile phones until the profits double over the course of the month. And at that time, a Jeep will take away the worry. Also, because they used to listen through the tracking device that's in my mobile, yeah, like this, everything will probably go up in the air. And at the end of the day, he listens and talks to a woman. And he agrees with him to arrange the account reconciliation that the money goes through because she is a middle intermediary and takes a commission. And then we find out to give it to EMI, the owner. The leader, what is it? But she is also betraying him and being wasteful. She keeps her business behind his back, and she also takes his data. And the OD is being sold. And at that time, the horn asks from Eugenie, try implanting a tracking device on her phone, to follow up with me too and get the basis of the dialogue. All of it, sir, I know that one has. Its owner invented a device that transfers all the data, and lets you know where to meet him in front of the hotel where he is, and as soon as you arrive, you find them. They get in the car and start moving immediately, so the owner or his father takes his homework with him and gets on his motorcycle to follow them, and at that time, he takes her all the way to the station, so she takes advantage of the fact that the metro is crowded. She tries to get close to her to take the mobile phone without her noticing. But her nervousness, he makes her unable to act. So my friend comes to continue. She's beautiful and he acts like he's hitting EMI so that she would fight with him. And here, Fan pulls out the phone quickly, and it finishes what I want, and you go back to it again, as if nothing happened. On the other hand, she wants to enter their office to hack all the devices. So she decides to use her brain and ties a rope to descend from the window right below it, when I came. So he tries to keep the existing employee as busy as possible and pretends to be a delivery person bringing food until he is done and goes around all the devices and completes the task. But the problem is that there's someone who's not standing still. He finds that the real delivery person has arrived with the food. So he tries to save the situation, and it looks like I have arrived to the wrong address or what, and running, and then when I return home, how do I find it? And he's sitting waiting for her. So you suspect there's a traitor between him. He is the one who handed it over like that, and she sends the message saying we should postpone all transfer operations until tomorrow, until things settle down, and that's it. The driver sees the message and goes crazy to the point that he goes in, gets his gun, and runs to the office to find out who the traitor among them is, and at that time. And it would be hiding between the desks, hoping that something would happen. It allows her to go out the window exactly the way she came in, and indeed at that moment. Orange is knocking on the door and asking him, "Is the food mine? Did it arrive at your place?" She tries to make it work as much as she can, but her luck is just that much. He arrives while she is standing, and when he feels that she is pretending, he pulls out the gun to scare her, so she gets terrified by the sight and runs quickly, and here she has already gotten out from the window, and she tries to climb the rope, but unfortunately, the rope can't hold her any longer, and it comes loose from its place, so she falls from the floor. 7th, and at that time, or no fun can watch them in the office with sound and picture, and the shock is that they find integration with the whole team, and their position is like the successive students to know who is the Khan that in him. This is other than that he grabs one of them and puts the gun is in his mouth, and he keeps telling him, "You are the Khan, not like this," until he does it to himself from so much fear. You enter at that moment, and try to reach him. That's enough, because even if you doubt him, you can't deal with it in that way, and here comes on. Her mental state gets destroyed when she watches all the details of what happens, to the point that she withdraws from everything. So are you trying to calm her down because it's unbelievable, after everything they did? Now they come and give up everything. Or does it mean just because someone tells you a woman stole money from her? We were very upset by her words, and her eyes were tearing up. And she tells him, "I am not a part of anything except my daughter. That's it, and by the way, I was stolen from. Not as you understood me, but because I was so ashamed of myself, I couldn't even say it aloud, and that's why I have the right that a friend." When he decided, she takes her bag and leaves. And as soon as he collapsed, they rise and she regains consciousness. Finally, and luck was on her side that she fell on a step that was in the middle. Garbage. But of course her whole body ends up with injuries. So she tries to get up to check on her friends and see how far things have gone. And the shock is that when you go to the office, you find the whole place empty. And even the devices are no longer there. So you take out your mobile to send them a message and let them know what it happens exactly. At that time, the rabbit responds to her very simply, "I'm sorry, but I withdrew because I can't continue." So she prefers to vote while standing in her place. Because after all this mess, she just passed like that. And afterwards, years later, she confronts her husband with the truth that the school money, in fact, was stolen by her too, and he gets angry. Very much because he never imagined that stupidity could reach this stage with him. And what annoys her most is that she finds her daughter standing on the stairs, and unfortunately, she heard everything, and at the end of the day you find I sent her all the records and photos related to Card and Amy. You discover that he has a very normal life and is married. And Mokhthlav, and life is sweet. At that time, Jeddah takes her mobile to send them a message and asks them exactly when the money will be returned. Because until now, she still has hope that what happened isn't a scam. Not to mention that she thanks him for the money he returned to her. And the problem is, at this moment, the mobile falls into Ord's hand, and he sees all the messages and gets very angry, and he realizes that she was laughing at him. And he replies to a message saying there's no more money, what you took is enough, not to mention that he discovers the bigger shock, that she was the spy he was looking for on her, because he delivers information to the leader, and in the middle of the day when she comes back home, she finds her grandmother lying on the ground, because she changed her life, and took a box. All the pills, so she gets scared of them, and she runs with them to the hospital quickly. Of course all this is because of the message she received. And as soon as Fan knows what happened is you go to the hospital, and then you find Jana, and she wants to finish off Oud, so she tries to calm her down as much as she can, because as long as she sent a message like this means Yo-Yo definitely fell into my hands too, and their luck is that Khan sends them messages to meet in the office, because she has a new idea, and it will be all yours that she will make you taste. Exactly the same lie, and she enters, and through his point of weakness, she scams him to make him transfer the money himself. But Fan is opposed to the idea because it's not reasonable for us to want to take revenge on them and in the end do the same as them, so she tries to wake her up from inside the city. The good one that she lives in because she is not. Time means ultimate humanity, and you understand that. If our money doesn't come back, I'm ready to finish it now, but the problem is that as soon as Barwi arrives at the office, it becomes chaotic. Things are jumping around in front of him, and he comes in and starts combing her hair in front of all the employees. And he takes her to the room and ties his hands in the bed with handcuffs, and he asks him for any dialogue. Grandma, then, so you were lying to me. So you were trying. Do you get it? I swear, is the matter really out of your hands? I just knew her for a long time, so I was trying to help her, nothing more. And all the money I paid was mine. He's going crazy. She really has a lot, I swear, and now you come and act like a person yourself. After you were the reason I even got into work in the first place, not to mention that the agent who belongs to the boss, and he holds a stick and keeps hitting with it without a trace of mercy, even, and at that moment if she can't endure more than like this, and she wants to go out and make her happy in any way. But he stops her because this is definitely not the right time, and any wrong step will ruin the whole plan for us, and because they are charming, stay away from me, and he calls him on video, on the basis that she is his wife, and tells him the injection quickly because someone took our son from school, and I don't know who he is now, and of course, they cut off the connection quickly when he suspects anything. And indeed, the conversation gets to him, and they let him run to a car to go the school, and he personally checks on his son. As for Aaron, the rest are waiting for him in the car so that as soon as he comes out, they follow him immediately. But if you betray them and open the door and go down quickly, because she won't be able to handle it, you leave it in the situation. This is without help, and at that time, and she goes down behind me too. Because it won't work to leave it for the number above by itself. So she urges Eugen, come on, let's resort to the second plan because there's no solution other than that. And since they are thinking about all the devices in the office, so they suddenly play songs on them without any introduction, in order to play them with this topic or something. The muffin, she goes in, brings Y, and goes out again, and as soon as she finds men coming out of the office, she quickly rushes over, and she knows it's from the grandmother, who used to help her, and that they must visit her right now because she is in the hospital, and hopefully until she breaks the handcuffs and supports him so they can leave. You find one of them came back and is asking him, who exactly are you? And what are you doing here? And he tries to attack them. But suddenly he gets caught. A bullet in the middle of his brain and he falls to the ground. This bullet is coming out of the pistol. The oath is for the leader, and because they already knew everything, and their men filled the place, and as soon as I would like, he discovers that they have arrived, he asks a dead person to destroy all the devices that are there quickly before it falls in their hands, any important information, and it's time. EMI solidifies and makes her understand that you must transfer all the money to an account now, and get me to the airport, so we can travel together before Sean stops. And of course, before all that, he needs to go to his son's school first to check on him. As for Mosid, well, F stops Yo-Yo and asks her exactly who is helping with the conversion accounts, so she finds out that it's Amy. Besides that, Fan hears all the recordings, the calls between them, and just to make sure, they should remember the information best, as if it is lying. Nothing, and here the assistant is very surprised. It is. Where did these recordings come from? And instead of letting it go with me, he wants to finish her off. And he is. Who are you, and what is your relationship with this whole matter? And at that exact moment, Mark finally arrived, and is trying to finish him off. On the other hand, Wow is cutting the electricity to the building to help her friend, and at that time, If she can run away without anyone noticing, she tells her, "Let's go so we can continue the plan with Oran," but she refuses and explains it to her. "I need to go to the hospital in Jeddah because she is definitely there." And indeed, despite all the injuries that fill her body, we find her entering. "Grandma, she is stubborn and puts all the money she has in my hands in the hope that this will make her feel like everything has returned and she has recovered again, and hopefully. She also cries if she arrives. I walked, and suddenly, you find the grandmother's pulse has stopped, so you call the doctor to act quickly. As for the first burial, he didn't make it to his son's school. He gets a call from the teacher that a Chinese man came and took your son from the school, and until now we don't know where he is. We will notify the police quickly so they can act. He's very nervous and he is the one. No. Forget the police. Leave this matter to me," and he hangs up on him immediately. And at this moment, Oran is in the car behind and is observing all his reactions. And when she makes sure that that's it, tension and fear have taken over him, she acts. The second call, which has all the essence. And you call him and let him know that your son is with me. Either transfer all the money in your account, or either I genuinely care for him. Besides, she even sends him videos of his son to make him believe more. At that time, he might be very distracted and unable to focus. What exactly does he do? Because although money is very important to him, it will never be more important than his son. The only one, and he will eventually try. But unfortunately, something happens that ruins the whole world. I find Officer Mark tapping on the car window to arrest him, so he has to move quickly. And at that moment, the horn goes off immediately behind it. But because there is a distance between the two cars, the signal starts to break and the sound changes, and here. He remained sensing that something was wrong because it's not reasonable that he has been in the job for years. And the situation passes him by so easily like that and he ignores it. He's with her and calls his wife quickly to ask her about your son. Where exactly? So he feels reassured that he is at home with her. So he takes a part and drives around the airport road too. He manages to travel before his men arrive and they don't stop him. And when they find the number and call it again, they are told that the game won't go on with him anymore, so no hassle. It's useless. And suddenly, they find a fan calling them and asking them to return to the hospital quickly because the grandmother died, and at that moment Khan loses control of herself, and she lets feelings of anger drive her, and she continues trying on him in the car with all her energy until she flips on him, and at that moment she gets out of the car and pull to get out and take the mobile, and you step on the conversion, and suddenly you find the soul. She replied to him again and he raised the gun to her. And he says in parentheses that I lose very easily. Like this, and then who are you anyway? And he keeps hitting it. But we find, wow, entered in Arabic. His stuff is in extra fat. And as soon as they find Mark, they reach him. And they also move quickly before he sees their faces and recognizes them. And after a period of a horn is distributed. The money is all on him. And the money goes back to her husband. And she says, "Do you know why I agreed? Try not to think about it because I'm sure you're working in smuggling. I was afraid your accounts would get caught. Anyway, from now on you are the one who will stay with our daughter because I'm not available." So he agrees without. He even comments, as for Wao, he keeps searching for her because since the grandmother's death, she has been missing. And suddenly he discovers that she is at home because she is working there. The headquarters with a gang, and to take revenge on them. At that time they all get encouraged and go to her to continue together. Those who started from the beginning, and after. There was a period of clashes on the border, as a result of which all the fraud centers that were present in the area were destroyed. But despite all of that. But until now there are still victims of online fraud. This video was written by Mena Bayumi and recorded by Muhammad Taha, that's him. I mean, and the producer is Ahmed Al-Arabi Salam.